Hello and welcome again to the Columbia Daily Tribune's Behind the Stripes webcast. This is Tribune sports editor Joe Walljasper along with Tribune football beat writer Dave Matter. Dave, the first week or so of preseason camp, Dorial Green-Beckham, maybe a little underwhelming, had some trouble with drops, had a little trouble, I think, figuring out what to do on the mental side of the game. I think he's really come on. The second scrimmage, he looked pretty good, especially after the catch. You've seen him in every practice, and I know you've been super impressed lately. Just what do you think his role now is going to be as you look forward to the season? I know on your blog you mentioned that he's starting to look like a guy who could be a very prominent.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it reminds me of 2010. Missouri had two returning starters at wide receiver, Wes Kemp and Dorial Jackson. They had two new starters in T.J. Moe and Michael Egnew, guys that barely played the year before. But during camp, as every day went by, those two guys were catching the most passes day after day after day. And I think I wrote at the time, I know I wrote at the time, these two guys are going to lead Missouri in receptions this year. And some people thought I was crazy, like, oh, they barely played last year. But if you watch practice is not, the stuff out there doesn't happen by accident. It's all, there's a plan to everything. And those inside slot positions that T.J. Moe played and still plays, and that Michael Egnew played, and that right now Green-Beckham is playing, that's kind of what this offense revolves around, and that's where the reads generally begin with the quarterback. And if you can get open and if you catch the ball like T.J. Moe did, like Michael Egnew did that year, you're going to see a lot of action. And right now when you watch practice, even if you're just watching the 7-on-7 drills, he's catching a lot of balls, and they're looking to him all the time, and he gets open. I mean, he's 6'6", and very fast, so he's not having any problem getting open, and he's really catching the ball pretty well. So, you know, I see traces of 2010 where they started to lean in certain directions because of the talent and just because of the way that the offense is designed. So that's not to say he's going to catch 100 passes this year, but I feel like I've got a better idea of how he's going to play, and I think more important, they have a better idea of what his role is going to be as, say, the first week of camp when he was a little bit lost out there, like most freshmen are.
Now, the one interesting thing is, I know in 2009 and 2010, Blaine Gabbert was a quarterback, and he tended to have his guy he would throw to, and that was his guy he threw to. Now, last year, James Franklin really spread it around a lot more. So I don't know if that's just part of James Franklin's personality that nobody's going to have a ton more catches than anybody else. So that might be one mitigating factor. The other thing is, it'll be interesting when Sean Culkin comes back from his broken finger. You know, how much are they wanting to play what would be called maybe a true tight end in that position, that inside position? Do they want to play Waters and Culkin more? So if you do want to attach them to the line occasionally and block, do you want them in the game there? Because I think if you play Beckham on the outside spot, you maybe aren't going to throw to him as much, but when you do, they're going to be deeper passes and maybe more jump ball type plays.
Yeah, I think the fact that they have those options out there, you know, probably means that they've got more variety, obviously, but this could look more like just the distribution of the passes, more like those 2007, 2008 years where Chase Daniel did distribute the ball much more evenly than Blaine Gabbert did. So Green-Beckham might have a big role and might have a really great year, but I think you're right. Just the way that Franklin plays, the way that they prefer the offense to work, you know, they like him distributing the ball more evenly, and that means you have to rotate more receivers sometimes. And, you know, the quarterback, he can't lock into the same guy all the time. And, you know, you need those guys. You need multiple guys to produce. So, you know, just talking to the coaches and just watching how things are developing out there, I think that could be the model this year, as opposed to, you know, those two Gabbert years.
And do you think they'll use him much? You know, when they had Jeremy Maclin, they would use him all kind of ways, just running the ball and returning all it. Do you foresee them using DGB in any way other than just as a receiver?
You know, they could. They haven't really done much of it in practice. He is returning kickoffs occasionally. I don't think he's their number one guy by any means, but you know, when he gets in the open field, he's pretty hard to catch. I mean, those long strides, he kind of runs like Brad Smith sometimes, where it doesn't look like he's moving that fast, and he never looks like he's exerting any kind of energy, but he's just blowing by everybody because he's such a gifted runner, and he's got those long legs, and you know, it's pretty impressive to watch. So I doubt they will use him in that role. Haven't seen him on the jet sweeps or the end arounds very much, but you know, he's got the ability to do that, I think, if they want to kind of expand the package a little bit.
Okay. Well, join us again for the next webcast when we will discuss what players have raised their stock in preseason camp.